Good afternoon, everybody. This is Lorraine, Alternative Homesteading. I hope everybody's doing okay, and thank you to all the new subscribers who've subscribed to my channel. I got a little bit of a late start today because my targeting is off the charts. For the last several weeks, particularly the last few days, these criminals have been radiating me and hitting me with radio frequencies in my head, the back of my head, top of my head, causing a severe headache this morning, and I don't get headaches. I only started getting headaches the last couple of years in Manalapan, New Jersey, where I live in the same house for 30 years. And then they have increased in scope and length here in remote rural Kentucky. This is another angle. I don't think I've taken you on this angle of my property. I have two driveways that intersect here, and then that's my property across the street that my criminal stalker neighbors have been trying to steal from me since I moved here. But what these radio frequencies do, and what these weapons do, directed energy weapons, they can target any part of your body. And if you want to know more about this, I created 5 videos, part 1 through 5, on the Gang Stalking Instruction Manual by Dr. Ronnie Kildee. In the last 2, I believe it's 4 and 5, I went over the technology that is utilized in the harassment and torture of a selected targeted individual. And I will assert that prior to this, I was in the best physical health in my life in my 50s. I worked out at a gym 5 days a week. I've always worked out at a gym or did dance or gymnastics. Still, in my 60s, I weigh approximately 105 pounds. I eat organic food. I do not smoke cigarettes or anything else. I don't drink alcohol. I don't drink soda. I don't eat genetically modified foods to the best of my ability. I don't even take an aspirin. I don't take pharmaceutical drugs, nor have I ever, unless I was in severe pain, like during my epidural for the birth of my daughter. So none of this should be happening to me. My grandmother lived to the age of 93. So anyway, there is a group on Quora, Quora, that I created called Learning and Research for Targeted Individuals. And I post important or pertinent information, intel that I receive from other people, because there are people in this community, and actually individuals who created the technology, who are speaking out about it. It's not only civilians that are being targeted. It's not only the Cuban diplomats. People are being targeted all around the world. It could be revenge for hire. It could be for fun, like the psychopaths where I live, or that they're getting paid for it. They're getting paid under the table gift cards. The bottom line is it's all about the money. It's all about the money, folks. So I received an email yesterday. I looked at the Counterintelligence Community Police Surveillance Group on Quora. And there was a question posted. And that question is, what are the reasons why police mount long-term surveillance of U.S. citizens who aren't mobsters, terrorists, or committing any crimes. And then the individual who goes under the name Salty Grunt 72 responded. The response is they need to expand their budget every fiscal year in order to ask for more money the next fiscal year. They do this by adding normal, everyday, law-abiding citizens and those who just choose to live their lives outside of the mainstream sheep. This way they can say, quote, "We are watching X account of potential domestic terrorists, but there are more, so we need more funding," unquote. Imagine that. Every police department around this country, traitors, treasonous, they are the enemies of the state. And to get more quote-unquote funding or the latest and greatest new weapons and toys, like new cars every couple of years, equipment to disable a victim's Wi-Fi or destroy the evidence while they're filming the corrupt police. And I've got a plane flying right over, folks. Maybe you can hear it. That's not the first one today. So imagine, to get more funding. I mean, it's widely known, well, at least in Manalapan, New Jersey, where I lived, the police will tailgate anyone, particularly the teenagers who have beautiful cars. I guess they figure if they tailgate a teenager, get close enough, the teenager is going to do one of two things. They're going to pull over and let the corrupt cop go by. Or they're going to speed up, at which point the wonderful cop will end up pulling over that innocent teenager and ticket him for speeding. And it's all about the money. It's all about money, folks. These sellouts, these badge abusers. I'm going to read this again. The question is, what are the reasons why police mount long-term surveillance of U.S. citizens who aren't mobsters, terrorists, or committing any crimes? I'd like to add, how come they're not going after the people that are committing crimes? Why? Because they're not going to get any money off those losers. So the answer is they need to expand their budget every fiscal year in order to ask for more money the next fiscal year. They do this by adding normal, everyday, law-abiding citizens and those who just choose to live their lives outside of the mainstream sheep. This way, they can say, we're watching X account of potential domestic terrorists, but there are more, so we need more funding. And I will attest to the fact that Lieutenant Thomas Mantle of the Manalapan Police Department, Monmouth County, New Jersey, in an incident report by my perpetrator neighbors who just moved in, who were stalking and following me, harassing me for 9 months, reported me for walking on my driveway because I responded to something they said because they damaged my property. So instead of including my evidence of the letter that I wrote to my perpetrator neighbors and their nasty, threatening response back, they chose to not include that evidence. And when I FOIA requested or open public record requested that incident report, It said that I displayed disorderly conduct and I was a terror threat. I wonder how much money they got in their little pocketbook for that defamatory, slanderous, fake report. Imagine how many other false reports there are out there. Not by the victim, by the perpetrators of the crime. Lieutenant Thomas Mantle, who's now been promoted, believe it or not. He's been promoted to a captain. And then the former retired chief of police, Michael Fountain, who was sued by his own law officer. He was sued by his own officer. He called his own officer an enemy of the state and ordered him for a mental health evaluation because he reported some behavior that troubled him to internal affairs. So, folks, if their own police officers can be targeted, how about normal people just living their lives like me, a divorced single mom, who worked 4 jobs at one time to support my daughter because my ex-husband was a deadbeat dad. So they target me because I had the nicest house on the block or the biggest house. Maybe it was the prettiest house. It was the best maintained house on the block. And I'll tell you who else was involved. The go-along to get-along cops at the Manalapan Police Department. How about Sergeant Carey? Or the police officer Reggie Grant, who said that my house wasn't broken into while he was stalking me for the better part of a year. When he showed up to take my incident report, he wasn't even wearing his badge or his ID number. He didn't even provide me an incident report number. I had to contact their office to get it. I didn't even know who he was. Oh, there are others. The Detective Chalfin, he was actually sued by the ACLU, who won. And then they promoted the creep. They promoted him to a detective. After Manalapan had to pay, I don't remember what it was, $250,000 of taxpayer money. I wonder how much money, what the settlement was on the officers that sued them. Surely it had to cover his legal expenses. Here comes another plane, folks. I'm not going to keep quiet while I'm being tortured, assets stripped, my pets being harmed, sick neighbors driving by, yelling out their windows like they're cattle. No, I'm not going to keep my mouth shut. And they are deteriorating my health. I should be able to live into my 90s like my grandmother, given my lifestyle and eating habits, and also given my genetics. But I am being physically harmed inside of my own house, and I have the proof, so I'm not talking about this when I don't have proof. I have forensic evidence now. So, folks, I just wanted you to know that, yes, innocent people are being stalked, provoked, instigated, so that police departments around the country can expand their budget by tormenting you and me. And from what I understand, 2 million innocent U.S. citizens have been placed on the FBI terrorist watch list. And for the record, there isn't just one list. There are several lists, and they will rotate you from one list to another. Their intent is to asset strip, murder, slow kill, steal your property, place you in a mental institution medicated, all under the guise of, quote, national security. And you can quote me on that. If you FOIA request these agencies, they'll tell you, we cannot confirm or deny because of national security. This is Lorraine, Alternative Homesteading, signing off for now.